Today at ShopDAP.com, we're going to be installing a Aerofabb front splitter on our MK7.5 Rabbit GTI. Okay, so here we have our Aerofabb front splitter. This version in front of me is the V2, which is the less aggressive version, and the V1 is the more aggressive, more track-oriented version. They do a nice job with their packaging. They make sure that they have it supported to make sure that when you do get it, that it's not going to get damaged because they have wood supporting, so this flat piece is actually make it through. They also have a great job doing instructions, so this video is going to give you a DIY on how to do it, but this is actually going to be a more detailed version. It shows you where the mounting holes are with all the hardware that they include with your splitter. Okay, so to put the front splitter on, we actually have to remove the front bumper. You might be able to try to do this job without taking the front bumper off. I don't think so. I would suggest doing it. So we are, especially for the case of this video, doing so because it will make the most sense. So I will start by removing this grill. There are 2 Torx screws right here that we're going to take off. We'll pop this grill out. And much like the other grills, this should just pop forward. Kind of pops into the radiator support like that. Now this car does have a radar sensor in here, so just to make it easy, you can actually remove this emblem and then take the radar sensor out. I'm just, for the sake of this video, because we don't need to remove all that, we're just going to take it, pop it out, and then flip it onto the engine cover. That way you don't have to remove any of the radar sensor stuff. So this grill, instead of Mark 7 GTIs, which pops upwards like that, it comes forward. There are clips that run along the back of it. Now, you may have to actually get behind this grill, and we'll show you when we get the bumper cover off where it actually clips into it to release the tabs. We found that kind of you can work off those tabs and pull forward, and so what you do is kind of wiggle them forward like this, and once you have them released, you can pop it forward like that and your grill will come out. Now here's your radar sensor. We're just going to unplug that for now so that we can continue without having to worry about anything getting damaged or falling off on us. All right, so we are going to remove these Torx screws and the fender liner. You can either remove your wheel or you can turn your wheel in the way I have. You should be able to do that too. And then there's screws vertically there. And so we have 4 Torx screws there. And we can loosen our fender liner. All right, now we're going to loosen these nuts on here. There's 2 10 millimeters, I believe, that hold this on to loosen this bracket up. And once we've loosened those up, we should be able to pop this bumper cover off. Now we'll do the same thing on the passenger side of the vehicle. Okay, now we're going to remove these T25 Torx screws that hold this in place. And what we're going to do is kind of go down the line and remove all these components, where all the Torx screws that hold these components in place. Once we've removed all of our screws, we should be able to just release this bumper, and you should be able to make sure that it's free from the rest of your system. Now you should see that move pretty freely, which it is, so we know we're good to go. So we can drop this thing back down. Now the last thing that should be holding this on, first of all, you want to make sure you unplug the fog lights either before or while you're removing the bumper cover, but we have 2 major clips that are right here where underneath where the emblem would be. So we have to pop the bumper cover. Okay, so the best place to start, what it seems like, is pushing down on these clips. So I'm holding on the side of the bumper and I'm pulling towards the front of the vehicle, and then I'm popping these clips down, and as you can see, it's releasing. So I'm going to go down the line here and pop them as we keep tension on this, and they should kind of release down the line. Now that that's free, I'm going to do the other side. Now that we got all those free, we can slide this bumper cover out and away, and again make sure we unplug our fog lights. Now we're ready to get started. Okay, so we have our bumper upside down. We have our splitter here. So you flip your splitter the way that this thing is supposed to lay, and you line up these corner screws right here and the other one over here. Now I am just going to thread those in place by hand. You don't really need to go crazy with these. This is actually really nice the way he has this set up, because basically you get these threaded in, and then now you know exactly where you need to drill your hole. So we are set up. We can now drill all of our holes and then mount the rest of our hardware. I'm gonna start drilling. I would recommend, just to make sure if you're not doing anything wrong, that you have verified there's nothing underneath your holes before you start drilling. Now we're going to install the support brace. This goes underneath the bumper here to actually prevent this hardware from ripping through the plastic of the bumper cover itself. So this should allow this, so that this should be really strong no matter what. And so we are going to take these support pieces, which are like spacers, and you're going to put them underneath your hole and put the hardware in. Now these ones, he has them all labeled so that these are the larger ones, the 1/2 inch ones, and then you have the smaller ones which go on the outer edge, and this spaces this thing out from here. So I'm just gonna throw 2 of these in for now, and then we're gonna put our support piece on underneath. Okay, so I have that one threaded on there, and I'm gonna get the other one threaded on there, and then we're gonna proceed to do just these the 10 total ones here with the 1/2 mil spacers and then the hardware, and we'll go through that. So what I like to do, what makes sense to me, is to get this underneath, get it lined up, put that hole through, get it through the spacer, get it through the bumper, and then do the next one. Okay, now we are going to install this short hardware into the bumper with the washers. Now we're gonna put our washer and our nut on the bottom of all these that we just dropped in there. Okay, now that we have all these in there, we have all of our spacers in there on this side and all of these in there and nuts threaded on, we're gonna flip this thing over and get the rest of our hardware mounted on the brace itself. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is throw these washers on, and then I'm gonna throw the thinner spacers, the 3/8 one on, and then you throw the another washer on, and then you can put it through. So we're gonna do that on all of these. Again, washer, then the spacer, then the washer, and then slide it on. And then we're gonna throw your other washers on, and then put your nut on. Okay, now we've gotten all of our hardware installed. We are out of hardware. All we're gonna do is flip this thing over so that we can tighten all this stuff up, and that's gonna be a 4mm and a 10mm. So now that we're all tightened down, we are ready to install it, and let's put our bumper back on. So now we're gonna hang our bumper cover back in place, and you slide it in, and I would get it over top of your grill area here first, and then lock all this in place. You are gonna wanna make sure you get your fog lights plugged in, don't forget those. So what I'm gonna do is actually get this hung and get that in place. Once you got your bumper cover on, you do everything in the reverse order of how you removed it, and you now have completed your Aerofabb spoiler install.